All right, folks, on this Garlic Marketing Show, whether you're an agency, a personal injury attorney, you need to listen to this all the way through because I've got one of the smartest guys out there. I've got Chris Dreyer. Chris, say hi.
Hey, everybody. How's it going?
And we're going to talk today about what personal injury attorneys really need to be focused on, how the dumbest thing that they're doing to burn cash. We're going to talk about optimizing your law firm for ChatGPT, the trends in AI search, how Chris is looking around the corner for the future of AI, and is search disappearing? Why Google ads alone are actually hurting you? How he's the industry that he's investigating that's super smart, that is really giving him some leg up in marketing, the future of agencies, the problem with outsourced BDRs and how he solved it, and best of all, at the very end, he's going to talk about this button, the secret button that is getting him gobs of leads. All this on the Garlic Marketing Show, but of course, this is brought to you by videocasestory.com. We'll talk about on the show, one of the best things for ranking, one of the best things for conversion and branding is your customer stories, but you got to find the right ones. Find that $1 million case story. Go to videocasestory.com/finder, and we have got a tool that will help you find that story. All right, let's get started.
My name is Gino Wickman. I was introduced to Ian, and that's what brought me into this video world and got me embracing this video world. And Ian did exactly what I hoped. He got me really comfortable with putting videos out to the world and having a great strategy around putting videos out to the world, because there's so much more than just shooting a video. And so the way that he positions those videos, optimizes those videos, he's done a great job.
All right. In case you guys aren't familiar, Chris runs one of the absolute top SEO agencies for personal injury attorneys. Really, if you want to be at the top of it, number one, you got to talk to him. But Chris, tell me a little bit. You've got an event coming up, PIMCon. You've got a book out. Tell us, let's get a quick overview of what's going on with the event and the book.
Yeah, last year, so I'd always been pushed by the team to have our own conference. And I went in and decided, look, I'm going to go all in. So we put it all on the line. We had an event in Scottsdale at the Phoenician, super nice resort. And we had David Spade as a comedian. We had Michael Phelps there, super well attended. People loved it. And we decided to go all in. At one point, I thought I was just lighting tons of money on fire, but thankfully broke even on that first event after a couple million, just sitting there staring at me in the face.
My God.
But this year we're doing October 5th. We're opening, at the Phoenician again. And we got Nikki Glazer. She's going to be a comedian after night one. And it's going to be a good event. So super pumped about it.
And obviously is it only for personal injury attorneys?
We had some divorce attorneys, some criminal defense attorneys, especially we're in Arizona that heard about it come. But yeah, it's for PI. And the difference is a lot of these events will have breakout sessions and you can go on different tracks. This is all about marketing, only about marketing, and it's all main stage. So all the speakers outside of myself are personal injury attorneys that are speaking about how the tactics that they use to grow their firm. So
nice.
It's a bit different because a lot of the other ones are, entrepreneurs or other agency people, but it's really about them.
Is Nikki Glazer going to be talking about SEO?
Highly doubtful. I thought we were going to have Peyton Manning too, and because it's called, go from good to goat is the theme.
Yeah.
And I thought that she would make fun of him again after the Tom Brady roast, and I just thought she'd have some new things to hit him on, but he ended up not having the availability, so we got some other we got a drone show at a welcome party. We got I can't think of the guy's name, and you'd know him, the Mentalist, that goes to the sporting events. We got him coming, so it's going to be a lot of fun.
That's awesome. So two things. What was your biggest takeaway from the last event from a marketing side for personal injury attorneys?
Oh, geez. The one that stuck with me the most is brand. It's it's just you look at all these guys and like, and when I say brand, it's like, how are they distinctive in their market? Like, what are they doing to be distinctive? So you have a John Barry, for example, that is just veteran to everything. Like, he really embraces his military background and how he themes everything, what events he goes to, what, who he hires, and it's all themed around that. And then you've got Amanda Demanda in Miami, and she's embraced the female empowered pink color, and the feminine side, and like, so she just embraces it, heels and pink, and that's how she's different, because you and I both know from working with a lot of PI attorneys, it's mostly the middle-aged, white guy that all looks the same, and so like they're taking different approaches.
Yeah, no, I mean it's. I actually you guys were there too at the motorcycle conference here in Orlando, and I was talking to a few attorneys, and it's interesting. Like, I don't know if you've ever driven through the Panhandle of Florida, but because of there's so many mass torts guys there that made some money. There's just billboards everywhere, and every single one of them is 3 white guys with 3 last names that you'll never remember. And I'm like, what are you guys doing here? Do you not notice that? No, I mean,
it's so frustrating. And they all say injured ? At the top.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
It's, I'm like, you guys are, why, we talked about this. We drove around once and talked about like the billboards.
Right.
Why, how did they get there? Is it they're being sold that? Do they think that's a good idea?
I think that for most attorneys, the creative and messaging is an afterthought, right? So they're like, hey, I need billboards. Hey, I need to be on TV. And it's like, oh, well, then I'll think about what my message is on TV or what I should say on the billboards.
Yeah.
And it's just an afterthought. They know they need to advertise, and they see their competitors so they'll kind of copy them and put the same language, but it
seems like it's just burning cash, and it
is burning cash. It's amplifying a message that isn't distinctive.
Yeah, I mean it's we're here in the land of Morgan and Morgan, and his at least are a little bit different.
They're funny, right? He's
a
funny guy. I mean, like, love or hate John Morgan. First of all, he's at the age, and he says this himself. He just doesn't care, and he just lets it fly out of his mouth. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's funny that, because I see this where people just chase after him, but they're not chasing after him in the right way. And so, when you think of branding, what were some of the big takeaways for these guys? Like how are they figuring that out? How are they getting it branded?
I think one of the words that comes to mind is consistency. And it's just they're consistent with their usage, and it's because you have to have the creative and the copywriting be out there so much and repeated. That's why jingles are really effective on radio. It's like, like a good neighbor, State Farm is here or there.
Yeah,
one of those phrases.
Yeah,
close, but like we know it, right?
Yeah,
and you hear it so many times. I think it's consistency. That's the big one.
It is. It is consistency, and messaging and having something that stands out. And I, just so often, because then I ask them like, well, what makes you different? And it's always experience, we fight hard, and customer service. I'm like,
yeah, exhausting.
It's such a waste of time. But on the flip side, now, of course, we'd love to talk marketing and SEO. What are some of the biggest SEO takeaways from the last conference?
Right now, at least in terms of real estate, you've got local services ads at the very top. Then you got Google ads, and then you got maps and organic. So I'll say a couple things when we're talking about search engine marketing, just optimizing for Google. Reviews are like the epitome of importance. They power local services ads. They help you rank in the map pack, and that organic visibility has declined a little bit due to AI overviews and just the change in search. So reviews are just massive. It's an arms race, and it's my favorite thing. I'm not an or person. It's quality and quantity. So high review rating, a lot of reviews. The other one is just, I touched on it last year, and I'm going to speak about it more this year. It's just search everywhere optimization and being found and utilized from a large language model perspective. So, when you go to ChatGPT, one of the easiest things that you can do is when you do a query, look and see what sources they use to pull the information. You can click on the sources button and it'll show the 20 to 50 sites. It's like, well, you want to be on those sites if you're a lawyer, and it changes per market, and it's a really good tactic to help you because of how important and how, the younger generations, they use audio. They just talk into their phone, and they're saying things differently, and you want to pull from those sources that the audio is using.
Yep. No, search is just massively changing. And I think it's one of those things, it's going to be like when Google came along, right? And just like, boom, all of a sudden it was like, I think it took like a year and a half before everyone started really using Google. But it was, once they do, it's because I'm amazed still that most people don't know like about Perplexity, which I love. And you've got to be thinking about those. What are some of the trends you're noticing inside of AI search? Because it's changing on a daily basis.
Well, it's significantly better. Each new update that comes out, the capabilities are tremendous. I will say this, and you'll get a kick out of this, especially, that you use ChatGPT and these other ones. I was having this conversation with my team, and like you bias your GPT, right, based upon previous queries and prompts.
Yep.
And like the other day, I did 3 queries, and they're like, "That's a great idea. That's an excellent idea. You should do that." I'm like, motherfucker, I'm sorry, person. Not
right.
every idea I have is amazing. So I had to go in and clean the prompts out and say, like, to scrutinize my ideas when needed. So, like, and I think it's like trying to get adoption, right? So they want you to think that, oh, yeah, I am a genius. So, yeah.
I'm annoyed by that, too. I'm like, be critical, and like I have instructions always. It's like, be critical. Don't be afraid to give me other ideas and tell me when an idea is bad, because it's frustrating. I'm like, I don't want to hear that every idea is great. I don't need a yes chat.
Right.
Right. And it was interesting just this morning. I don't know if you had the prompt come up, but when I used the app, it said it's now remembering and accessing every single chat, not just the memory. Did you see that?
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
So using AI every single day, I plug it in for my proposals, and I'm like, hey, optimize this for me. And it tells me what's wrong. And I'm like, take a look. I was like, scrutinize my pricing. And they said I discounted the 3rd tier too far, and I should look more at this. And it's just something that I'm using significantly more. Now I'm just feeding it in massive amounts of data. I'll take our financial plans and just raw data and fill it in, and I'll tell it to analyze it, and it's giving me information there. So I'll tell you, I'm in the middle of an acquisition right now. Like, I've never done an LOI, and I had to create an LOI. It reduced my attorney fees because it was like a template already made. I had it create a due diligence checklist and all these things that were kind of intimidating before, right? Like, I'd always thought about maybe doing an acquisition, but now it's like it lays it out. Like, what do I need to do to make this successful? What do I need to watch out for? And those are the types of things that I'm doing, and it's just incredible.
That it's amazing. And I think that, as people adopt it, it's going to affect marketing in so many ways we can't see. What, when you're looking around the corner, because obviously it's going to affect search, and everyone's using AI content. Where do you see that going?
Well, Google had a summit recently. It was, I believe, March 20th this year, March 2025. And Mueller was asked these questions, right, in regards to content and AI. And it says to speak from firsthand experience. the more you can do that, the better it is. And so Google's looking for that. It makes sense. Like, you and I know, how many videos have you done on, what are the steps to take after a car accident? And you try to make it fun and it's like that article, if you're a car accident lawyer, has been written 3 million times. Why would Google index it? Why would it rank yours? Like, what are you going to do with that article? Like, that's perfect for a rich snippet or AI overview. Like, let's be real.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm definitely seeing that. I'm seeing the case stories, the video case stories being indexed more and more and more.
Oh, yeah.
And, because it's a story. And I think, it's interesting to me thinking about how the AI is analyzing it and also how much data they have, because it's a circular thing, right? Because I know I put something in ChatGPT the other day, and like instantly I start seeing ads for that somewhere, right? And that data is getting out there too. So it's like a circular piece, and it's going to be feeding it. And I'm sure that, they're blending the data somewhere. So it's really interesting. But yeah, to your point, personal experience, right? And it's going to become more human, isn't it? Ironically.
Yeah.
Do you see like this? I mean, did they talk at all about being filtered? I didn't see this. Did they talk about like filters for obvious AI content?
They talk about that. They, and just their general content guidelines of expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness. They're looking for original opinions and just not the regurgitated stuff. I look at search different now, though. So you take 3 years ago, or even before that, I looked at Google as like awareness, consideration, and conversions, right? So the whole funnel, right, top to bottom. Today, I look at search as capturing demand, and it is when it comes to creating awareness. Let me speak to just legal, because I can give examples because every industry would be different. Awareness is TV still great. It's cheap CPMs. Radio's still great. Cheap CPMs. You got your billboards. You got social media for reach ads on Meta. Like that's like awareness and brand. And then you got some grassroots stuff. But like when it comes to capture, you're still driving back to the website. You're still driving back to Google to be found on Google. Like I've worked with some of these big PI firms, the biggest in the country. Like there's no one bigger. And basically they'll have these big TV campaigns and outdoor, and then their search is bad. And then when we improve their search for the capture component, they get significantly more cases. And it's like sometimes people have really good SEO, but then they don't have good awareness. It's like this balancing act now that because marketing's just so fragmented and user behavior's changed.
Yeah. No, and they're changing so much. And that's an interesting point too with user behavior, because I think about that. And we all kind of used to use things the same way, and now it is getting fragmented, and like with all these different tools. And I can't, I don't see one becoming dominant, because I mean, ChatGPT is great. They got things like Perplexity, like Gemini. Have you tested out the new Google AI Studio?
I haven't tested it out much. I've been playing around a lot with Grok lately, and Claude.
Claude's amazing. Claude is amazing, especially with some of the new features coming out. But the AI Studio, it basically will look at your screen and tell you what to do. So you can share your screen and you can talk to it, which is, it's like, and with Google Notebook LM, there's just so many tools that it's going to massively change how people search. But to your point, for the meantime, it's going to come back to right in the middle there, right? Google search. And like getting a really good intake, capturing it. Now, as you move forward as an agency, how are you preparing internally for these shifts, or being nimble enough for these shifts?
So I would say like a few different ways to answer this. That what we're doing is, the first is like we have to change how we're doing search. So we have to look at GEO, the generative engine optimization, and start doing things, getting on the sites that the LLMs are using. We have to use schema significantly more. Schema is widely used across all these.
Yep.
Then just thinking about it more as a not fragmented on Google, like LSA, Google Ad, like no, this is search engine marketing. Like what's your budget going to be to market to Google, right? And not just, hey, we're going to do this in Google Ads. We're going to, and that's just I'm only going to do that channel. You got to look at it more holistically, even on Google.
Yep.
That's a big one. And then for us, it's like, it's more omni-channel. So like we have a paid digital marketing department now, where I know a lot of these old school agencies will have like a Google Ads department, but like Google Ads is more effective if you also do Meta and CTV and stuff for retargeting. It's just better. It's better with looking at it, across multiple channels.
Yeah.
And then we do traditional. So we hired a traditional. So we have the three: search, paid digital, and traditional. And we're looking at basically being able to do all of our firm's marketing and not just SEO anymore.
No, and you have to, because it's I talk about this all the time, especially like in large clients and landing large clients. It's like, I had Sarah Block on, and she was talking about how she does LinkedIn, and I think this is a perfect example, right? She focused on LinkedIn. Her average client value is like 100K, and she did because of LinkedIn metrics can really show you, and her clients, not a single one of them liked or commented on any of her content, but they all came through LinkedIn, right? And so they're seeing it, and to think that a person's just staying in a funnel. And it always amazes me too. Like when people are like, well, I don't want to send them other places because they'll see my competitors. I'm like, no one has one tab open on their computer. Right now I have like 12 windows and 27 tabs, right? And they're on 3 different apps and moving around. And you have to think about it, like you said, omni-channel holistically, because people bounce around. And I think it's probably one of the most important mindsets. It's a big shift for a lot of people. Because especially if you're still, you ever were with the yellow pages back in the day, you still think of like people, it was one action, right? Either I got a referral or picked this up. And coming back to just bringing it full circle, I do think with all this data out here, events like PIMCon are going to become even more important. Do you see that as well? Like being around real people and getting the information?
Yeah, there's so much to that. Especially like an event like ours. It's all PI attorneys.
Yep.
Many of them are in different jurisdictions, and it's a good networking opportunity for referrals, right? To meet people, to collaborate, to you don't even. Yeah, I'm a big proponent, as you are, of masterminds and coaching, and you can get your peers and create your own little mastermind group. And I think the in-person, it's so valuable. That's why I think that, so I've been studying a lot on the other side, right? The insurance companies, how they grow, like your Geico and your State Farm. Well, like State Farm has the local agents component. So even though they advertise national, and that's what builds trust. So like I think like a lot of businesses can have a strong grassroots strategy and these in-person strategies that complements everything I do, because it's not only about awareness. It's also like, well, when I do know these people, but which one do I like? Which one do I have an experience with?
Yep. No, I think that it's going to become more human, like we were saying at the beginning, like, because it's going to drive people to that, because there's going to be so much information, and then that will be the final thing. But I love that you're looking at what insurance companies do, because I think that most people don't understand with personal injury. It's really just it's not so, I don't feel like it's as much law as just the flip side of insurance, right?
Yeah. It's exactly, it is. It's just the flip side. And it's like, why wouldn't you, everyone studies their legal competitors, but like, why wouldn't you study the parallel?
Yeah. That's really smart. I think that's, yeah, because I mean they're the biggest companies in the world, right? Like you look at Warren Buffett. I mean, he's wealthy because of insurance, and really interesting that you're doing that. What are some of the other big takeaways that you're seeing that may, because that maybe we don't notice with insurance companies?
Let's see here. Okay, so let me talk about Geico, for example. So Geico has the most memorable mascot.
Yep.
Right? The Geico, the Get-Go. It's kind of close to the name. I just listened to a podcast literally yesterday with the CMO of Geico, the most recent CMO, and he was talking about, well, why do people love the Get-Go? And he talked about consistency. And I thought that was really surprising. He didn't talk about its humor and blah, blah, blah. It's just like you kind of know what you're going to get out of it. And they've been doing it for, decades.
Yeah.
And they've used the same agency for decades.
Oh, I didn't know that.
So the creative's kind of similar. I think it's the Martin agency. I think that's the one. So they're doing the same strategies. The things that they're talking about, how they're doing a national, but now they're doing these local spot buys, and they're trying to reach a younger audience with digital, and they're going to streaming and OTT. It's like that's the exact things that are being talked about for legal.
Yeah.
And I think that the difference is you take someone like State Farm, and there's those local agents, they get the upfront cash flow, and they can facilitate these, this variable incentive to do something like that easier. You get in these cash flow cycles for a PI attorney, it's really hard to, and then they go to an Esquire bank or, get these line of credits, or borrow against their inventory. And it's just it can be scary if things change. And so I think that's the biggest difference, is they have some upfront cash flow advantages, especially on the PI side versus contingency. But if you're a, divorce firm or a criminal defense, I think you could apply some very similar strategies, because your cash flow cycles are much better.
Yeah, no, definitely. Yeah. Because personal injury is definitely a bit of a gamble, right? Because it's like and I think a lot of people, if you're not in the industry, don't understand that, because they have to upfront all the cash for the case, and they can spend millions on the case and then lose, even though they're the best attorney in the world. And I had a few clients like that, especially medical malpractice, that went out of business just because they had 3 bad juries in a row.
Yeah. And I got to tell you, Morgan & Morgan has got the playbook. They have this thing called the Morgan Connection. They hire account executives to go to on the ground in these markets to go meet with other law firms in the area to refer them cases. It's the same thing that State Farm's doing.
Yeah.
Instead of selling insurance, they're selling these other firms on sending them their cases. It's smart.
Yeah, no, it is. It is really, really smart. And it's and you have to think of it holistically, like you are. And with AI and everything coming out, where do you see, switching over to the agency world, where do you see agencies going? Because I feel like there's going to be a massive switch there too.
Yeah, I think there's going to be leaner teams. There's going to be a demand for real expertise. I think, look, the coaches and mentors have been talking about niching and specialization for a long time. I think it's going to become even more and more important. Now, that's not to say that you can't have a general agencies and have practice directors and things like that to get that expertise, but you're going to have real expertise. I see some of these agencies that just don't have it, that have kind of, done the pay-per-click thing and been in these directories like Clutch and UpCity. They're going to have to adapt. It's, so agencies, tech enablement, AI enablement, it's going to change a lot of how we're doing. Many of the less experienced agencies, they immediately think about reducing their fees, right? And it's that Seth Godin race to the bottom. Whereas, well, what can I do to give more value, using AI and increasing my fees? Those are the ones that are going to survive and thrive.
Yeah. No, I agree. More value. And I think that it's like you said, the experts, and it's a trusted authority like you are in the personal injury world, where, you're looking at everything and someone can come to you. Yeah, you do the SEO for them, but now you're doing everything. But someone come to you and ask questions about everything, and you can point in the best direction, knowing that, hey, you're testing it out, you're looking everywhere, you're constantly investigating. It's really, I think it's, yeah, like you said. But I actually heard a thing the other day. I forget where I was listening to this, but it was an attorney being interviewed, and they're like, AI is going to eliminate all attorneys. And they're like, well, remember, everyone said that about computers, and that our fees were going to go down, and fees have tripled since computers came out, right? It's just, who knows how to use the tools the best, and who knows how to help the customer and provide the most value. And that's fantastic. And, you know, and doing things like events, bringing them together, being at the center of it, I think is super smart. And writing a book. Your new book, it's a pretty catchy title. Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah. Personal injury lawyer marketing, go from good to goat. It's, you know, back to the like evolving and things like this. I think what you're doing with the Garlic Marketing Show and my podcast, the Personal Injury Mastermind, is like, it's a feedback loop.
Yep.
So we're like constantly learning and like asking the questions about what's needed to change, and I'm talking to my like I think that's one of the main benefits outside of just enjoying it and doing the social thing. I think there's just so much knowledge that you gain. So the book, it's on Amazon. It's purely about marketing for personal injury attorneys. And what I did is, I think it's really annoying when you read somebody's business book, but it's always their opinions, and it's like, okay, like, is this true? Like let's validate this. And so each section I have what we call GOAT quotes. So a quote from someone that's been on the podcast that's also agreeing or validating what I'm saying, to emphasize an action item. So there's like tons of these quotes in there, and I think it helps legitimize, the recommendations a bit better.
I love it. Yeah, I mean, it's case stories inside your book. Makes complete sense. And, actually what's working, and people, you're building that trust, and you're at the center of it. Now, your other book, Niching Down, obviously was about that whole niching thing. And I mean, you've succeeded wildly with it, which is awesome. How has this book affected your business? How have you used it in your business?
Niching up, so not very effectively.
No, I meant, sorry, the new book, Personal Injury Lawyer Marketing.
Oh yeah, this one. So I'll tell you some things that we're doing. The first thing is from a psychological selling perspective, authority is really important. So it gives me some social proof. It also allows, we have I think we have 10 or 11 BDRs now. Our sales force is up to like 20 something.
Yeah.
And so we can incorporate it into a cadence, so we can mail the book out and then follow up with a call. So it's not like who's calling me, right? So that we can add the sequence. I can send it to guests that have been on the podcast, send it to any prospect that comes in the pipeline, and it's just a nice touch point. They have something tangible in their hand. Those are some of the things. We also will take little, I think, who is it? Grant Cardone does this really well. He'll take, his book, and he'll take little snippets out of it and use it on social media or on his podcast. We're doing the same on our social media. We'll take a little clip of it, add it to social for content. It adds. I've got an author knowledge panel now. I'm trying to rank for personal injury lawyer marketing. I know Google just came out and said not to do, use other sites to manipulate search, but so Google earmuffs, but that's kind of what I'm doing with Amazon.
Yeah, not use others. Links are important. Context is important, but don't use other sites to manipulate it.
Like, come on. Like, are you kidding me? And they do it all the time. And not to mention they don't have to. I mean, look at all the travel stuff. Surprise, the Google travel queries are all dominated by Google.
Yeah. No, they're like, we want you to use this tool, but don't manipulate it.
Yeah. Do what I say, but don't. What is it? Do what I say, but don't.
Don't do what I do. Yeah. Oh man, that's amazing. And that's because it's like marketing the book is constantly. You should just be using it constantly. I love that you're sending it out and using the BDRs. What's been coming to that? What's been your experience with the BDRs? I mean, that's a tough job.
Oh my God. So I burned probably at least $1 million trying to develop the sales team. The first thing that I did is I went and tried to outsource, and I used a couple. I'm not going to name their names because, I think they're good people. And I think they do. Okay, so I'll use some outsourced SDR companies.
Yeah.
And I didn't just go get one SDR. I mean, you know me from our background. I went and got 8, right? So I'm like, this is either going to work or it's not. And I gave it a while, and I had 8. And what I found was there's 2 big issues when you try to outsource sales development or business development, or actually more than 2 issues. The first issue is the compensation structure. They're typically compensated for sets, but not the conversion or a quality appointment.
Yeah.
That's the first issue. The second issue is you don't control the list, right? They own the list. They can maybe download it, but you don't know where they're getting it. You don't really control who you're targeting. The third issue is the talent that you get a good BDR that's setting a lot of appointments, that understands your brand, and they get promoted and they're moved off your account. Or typically these are, right out of college, or they just get a different job.
Yep.
Right. And you can look, I hired a couple, and you can pay that. There's a fee. There's an agreement, right? It's stated in the contract if you want to hire, but it's a pricey fee for that to break that non-solicitation. I mean, all those issues combined. So when we moved it in-house, every single one of our BDRs were a former President's Club winner.
Oh, wow.
They're comped properly. We have massive control on the list. All the data's enriched, so it's better phone numbers, better emails, better contacts. It's constantly refined. It just works better.
Yeah. No. There's always this dream with agencies and consultative services of this outsourced appointment center, outsourced lead center. But I think that works if you're selling a car, right? Because it's like there's no relationship being built there. So it's like, hey, this person knows they're going to buy a car. But if you're selling, expensive services that are very much a relationship, and they're not starting, it's like blind dating with someone who hates you, right? It's like,
and I got results. Results. It just weren't as good. My conversions were lower because the appointments weren't as good. It's not like it was like, I burned all the money, but this wasn't as effective.
Well, and I did know too, like, because back when I worked for Fine Law, we had an SDR, and when they would set that appointment, and even if I closed them, that person was not as happy because they were like forced into the sale, right? And it's just not starting the relationship. It affects your lifetime client value. I think it does. And so what was your secret then to hiring? I mean, it was President's Club. Is there any great information out there that you read and you're like, this was the thing that transformed it?
God, I think just taking those lessons of controlling the list, the talent, that's a big one. But I'll tell you what accelerated mine is I went to a sales recruiting agency. I used a company called Husk Talent. I think those guys are great. I really like them. I don't get anything for that recommendation. I just think they're awesome. And I wanted to hire a VP of sales. And my criteria, I had a checklist. Was like, I wanted that person to had successfully built an outbound team, but secondary, had the ability to bring people with him. Like, if you're a great leader, your sales reps want to come with you, or other sales reps that got away, maybe that were on your team, and maybe the upper execs wouldn't pay those people and they left, right?
Yeah.
And so I brought on a VP of sales. His best friend was a director of outbound at another company. That person came on, and it just started stair-stepping. And before you know it, like, we had a team of all killers with very high standards. And so it came from the leadership, but, so an excellent, I'm going to say leaders. I mean, my head of revenue is phenomenal. My head of the AEs and they're phenomenal, right?
Yeah.
And so it's really controlling the talent, and
interesting.
big one.
Yeah. And, when it comes to it, I just did a podcast with a company that does, helps train attorneys, on intake and follow up. Those lessons that you have from a BDR standpoint, how much of that you think translates to a large personal injury law firm?
Oh, 100%, all of it.
Yeah.
Right now, let me tell you something. If you're an agency owner listening, if you have the ability to do this, you're going to significantly increase your volume. So let me put this. On our contact form, most people will have like the form, and then maybe it will send to a scheduler, right?
Yep.
We added call us right now. So they click that button and we call immediate. My God, our just it's had a massive impact.
Interesting.
Yeah, because if you don't they do the forum, they don't know when you're going to contact them. Maybe you contact them in a few minutes or an hour, or maybe the schedulers put out in the calendar and they go talk to their competitors or whatever. But you call them right then, or the phone number's available, and they can call you right now and talk to someone. I mean, it's massive.
Amazing. Yeah. And because you're dealing with high rollers and heavy hitters, and they're used to getting what I want right now. When I decide I want that right now. That's super, super smart. And when you coach personal injury attorneys on this, are they doing the same thing? Because
No. 99% of personal injury law firms have a shitty intake.
Yeah.
And if you're the one that's listening thinking, no, my intake is good, you're wrong. It's not good.
It's so true. And it comes back to the branding thing too, right? Because these people are calling 2 or 3 people, and they're not just calling you and waiting, and they're going to forget about you in 30 seconds, especially if you're, whiter and whitest.
Yeah. I mean, there's so much to this. I was talking to an individual earlier that had intake from 9 to 5, has 2 individuals. Okay, well, what's the backup? Okay, if both of them are on the phone, missed call. Okay, they get off at 5. And you can't set your regular hours to 24/7 on GBP, so you're out of the map pack. That's proven. You can't even rank there. It's guys, what are we doing?
Yeah. No.
But everything's marketing's fault, though.
Everything's marketing's fault. And that's, it's an interesting thing. And I've talked about so much because I'm like, we were together in a mastermind when we saw Joey Coleman, and we've all had him on this podcast, but that the marketing needs to really even ramp up the second they start calling, because that's your opportunity. That's the green zone. That's where the money is made. And so many people are just like, let me just flush that down the toilet, because I'm not going to answer the phone, follow up with them, wow them with our customer service. And it's such a huge opportunity, especially if they're spending $20, $30, $40, $50,000 a month on SEO. How hard is it to have someone answering the phone? And I've got to think that most car accidents actually happen outside of working hours.
Yeah, I'd say, just from a volume perspective, I mean, it's daytime. That's when the phones ring. But so it's, anywhere from 8 to 5.
Yeah.
You get a lot more volume, but there's certainly volume after hours, evenings, weekends. And, there's different strategies at play, right? So daytime television is really good from a direct response, heavy call to action television. God. But after hours and weekends, you can do more of your brand and story and things like that. So there's strategies around it. And also the other thing I wanted to just touch on is the big thing. Most individuals don't think about marketing across the entire life cycle, right? So let's just talk about it into a thirds, right? You got the prospects before they're a client. That's a marketing component, right? And that's what we all know, right?
Yep.
But then they're a client. Well, you have to market to your existing clients because you need reviews to power local service ads. You need referrals. You need all those things, and that kind of complements. But mostly it's the reviews and the experience and what they're going to say.
Yep.
And then at the end, it's the same thing. It's right. they're gonna tell their friends and family. What are they gonna leave a 5-star or 1-star review? And it's like you need to have the marketing from start to finish, not just that first 33%.
Yes. Well, exactly. Because and people, I mean, especially if a case is 2 years long, right? And they're being dragged through it, and they start to doubt everything. You've got to be marketing constantly, and agencies too. I mean, it's like I see this all the time, and I'm like, are you sending your case stories out to people, your current clients? Like, no. I'm like, why not? That's the perfect thing. They want to see that other people are doing well with you too. It's just the biggest opportunity, and I don't know why people don't do it. I don't know.
It's a puzzle. I think there's different, these milestones, there's different lines. Like you come in and like you start to outsource a little bit, and there's a comfort zone, and you run in against that wall, that pain line that, who is it? Martell? Is it Dan?
Yeah.
Martell talks about. And like some people will fix it, right? They'll get the after-hour staff, or they'll get the tech or whatever. But then some just stop, and then they stay there.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's crazy. Well, Chris, I mean, this has been fantastic. And I think best thing that an attorney can do is definitely go sign up for PIMCon.org. And where's it going to be this year? You said
it's going to be at Scottsdale at the Phoenician. The Phoenician's amazing.
Nice.
5-star luxury resort. Super beautiful.
Awesome. We'll put a link to that, Rankings.io, and your book, Personal Injury Attorney Marketing. It's a catchy phrase. You guys will have a tough time remembering it. Sorry. And make sure to check out his podcast. We'll put a link to that on there. He has obviously the premier talent out there. Mr. Chris Dreyer from Rankings.io, this has been fantastic. Thanks so much for being back on the Garlic Marketing Show.
Ian, thanks so much for having me.
And thank you for making Chris and I part of your story. This has been Ian Garlic and the Garlic Marketing Show.